Sadly, Mike and we can't seem to agree on anything today regarding the Tim Pool thing. I mean, I think we can kind of agree that he's like grifting, but we're not agreeing on his his approach. I guess that my SO believes that he's big enough that he doesn't need to address his own audience, his members, the people that were spamming chat. Nobody was spamming your chat, Tim. You did this. You made it bigger because you wouldn't address it. You made it bigger. Eliza started this thing, continued it by not saying anything, and oh wait, who else didn't say anything? Tim Pool. Barely. What was it, like day 4 where he maybe hinted via super chat that somebody had that she might be a grifter. That was it. And then a little bit later we find out that Shane, what's his name? The writer, the timcast.net writer, that he is actually going to be, well, had been writing a rather large, I think he said 80,000 word or 800,000 word essay on Eliza Bleu. Yeah, I guess that they kind of had talked about it when she was on the podcast. She was definitely very... No, I said that in the first time I saw her. You know how I said the first time I saw her? I thought, like, she was throwing herself at Ian. Well, she was kind of doing that this time with Shane. But she wasn't as, like, forward and desperate as she was with Ian because Shane is married. She don't got a chance. Not unless Shane is a cheater, which didn't really strike me like that at all. Not like that type of person at all. So, you know, she's like, oh, you can bring your wife to the farm if you want. No. She was like, bring your wife. Yeah. Come to my farm and, oh, bring your wife. Shane is one of those guys that he's probably never really been told, like, oh my god, you are so hot right now. It was Scroats McGoats that kind of broke the whole Tim Pool cool dam. It was kind of a threat though, so I kind of understand where he was coming from and why he was triggered, let's say. Scroats McGoats sent in a super chat and he said, I'm a member, last night as a member, unless you talk about this Eliza Bleu thing. And Tim Pool was like, get F out of here, Scroats McGoat. How dare you tell me, you threaten me. Scroats McGoat's whole thing was that he calling out Tim for hypocrisy. Now, if you haven't seen my video about the hypocrisy, please check that one out. I will put a link to it, or okay, I'll put that'll be the video that's up at the very end. So if you're interested in that, that will just be right there and you can click on the video. After the whole like Tim Pool hypocrisy scandal, which happened a couple of weeks ago, Shane Cashman's articles were removed from timcast.net. They were. All of them. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, gone. Now, what is the excuse that Timcast gives us? Let's take a little look-see here. Look on my computer. Oh my god, I just lost everything I was just talking about. I literally recorded a bunch of stuff for you guys, but I had it on pause, didn't notice. Should have noticed, did not notice. So, oh well, we lost a lot of cool stuff that I was talking about. Hopefully it'll just come back to me and then we can work that into it. But Shane Cashman article gone. And this is what Timcast said about it. They said, due to the fact that the gonzo journalism style of this series was misperceived by readers, the series in its entirety has been removed. We apologize for any inconvenience. It's your fault. You didn't get it. You didn't get the gonzo journalism. Shame. Try harder. That's a biggest insult right there, because I have read Shane Cashman's article, and it is opinionated, and it is everything that they teach you in college not to do. Do not do these things when you want to be a journalist. And I know because I went to school to be a journalist. I'm thinking about the standards that you have in journalism, where you don't want to show your bias one way or the other. You're just reporting the news, right? So why are we using these adjectives for certain things? Like when we got Trump in the headlines, it always says something kind of nasty, doesn't it? I know it's clickbait. Headlines have turned into clickbait. Be a truth teller. And if you feel as though truth telling involves your own opinion, maybe save it for an opinion piece. Or make a video like I have been doing. And then tell the world how you feel. I'm telling my subscribers how I feel, and I certainly hope that they'll leave me comments and tell me how they feel. This is how we build a community, and I really hope that that's what we're doing. Speaking of building a community, subscribe to Vermont Red Pill for more pills like this, for more videos, which will give you the red pills, or if you're on Rumble, subscribe on Rumble. If you are on BitChute, subscribe on BitChute. Join me. Let's change things. Let's make things better. Let's, like I said, build a community. But if you're from Vermont, reach out to me. I like to consider myself to be, I don't know what I am, a vlogger? What am I? That's what Viva Fry was. He was a vlogger. But now he has graduated to citizen journalist / journalist. If Tim Pool is a journalist, then so is Viva Fry. With those vibes. I was going to cut away, but hey, you know what? Are you guys having fun on the ADD train? Because that's what you're riding. And I think since you've been subscribed on here for a while probably, you're used to this. Newcomers, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'll get lost in thought and you will hear me thinking out loud. So I'm sorry if that's annoying to you, because you gotta follow. And I'm gonna try to put things down in the description so you can kind of follow like which thing I'm talking about as I go from subject to subject. I get this from my mother. I know it because she does that. She also speaks very fast. So I fixed the camera problem, but this 5-minute timer is bothering me. I don't know how to fix it. Oh, if only I could fix it. Oh, well, hello there to you, macro-aggressor. Yes, macro-aggressor. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am so happy that you subscribed. You asked if I could do any other accents. This is not great. I'll work on it, I promise. And maybe in the future, y'all will get an accent video. Y'all gonna get an accent video. Oh, I bet you can't wait. So here's my interlude word to put everything back together. Journalism requires editing. It requires reporting. It requires keeping yourself out of the article, but keeping your voice in it. That's really hard, and that's why people go to school for it. You grip the reader, but don't grip them with lies. Shane Cashman screwed this up for the Eliza Bleu article because he started talking about the doomsday clock, which has nothing to do with Eliza Bleu or any of that stuff. So he kind of like lost me within the first few paragraphs, which is unfortunate because I know he's a good writer. He's just not a good journalist. He's a good writer. He sucks you into the scene and he gives you good comparisons and atmospheric, all of that stuff, all the good stuff that writers do. It's just he's not a journalist. And maybe I'm sensitive about that because that's what I went to school for. Had issues, I know, at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to close this video out with this. I'm going to close this video out going all the way back to the beginning with the fight that I was having with Mike. My issue, you can't say that someone is a journalist because they just write things for a news site like timcast.net. Now, the fact that Shane Cashman writes articles, does that make him a journalist? I don't know. Tim is a journalist because he's a pioneer. Tim, he was... Whoa. Is my laptop light? Is this good? I don't know. Was it better before? Curious. But Tim, he was a pioneer for live journalism type, for live streaming events. In particular, he started with Occupy Wall Street, and he just documented things by walking around and talking about things and talking to people, and it was a new type of media. And from there, Tim got a job with Vice, and then he got a job working like a side company for Disney, and there you go. You got your credentials. You can call yourself a journalist now. However, if you are right there at the event, if you are reporting what you see, if you are interviewing people, guess what? You're a journalist, and you don't have to write anything. When you're looking at different definitions of journalism, and this is what my boyfriend, this is what Mike and I got caught up on, the definition for journalist. And it was essentially the same thing as a writer. So what differentiates a journalist from a writer? Journalists are writers. So a writer encompasses like everything, but a journalist is supposed to be somebody that writes about the news. Now we've expanded it to somebody that reports the news. So a journalist and a reporter are essentially the same thing now because of live streaming and pioneers like Tim Pool. So pioneer Tim Pool should know better than to stick his novelists out there to report on Eliza Bleu, which they already had issues with because they were already close to her. They'd already had her on, and we already know she had a little something footsie fun with Ian. Should have excused himself. They all should have excused themselves. And this article, the article is garbage. Like I said, the first part part one starts with the doomsday clock, and then it just talks about like the trauma she supposedly suffered, even though it's getting more and more obvious that she's a politician's daughter. How much trauma do you think that her parents would put up with? She said she lived in the ghettos in Chicago, and she was literally living in Wicker Park, which couldn't be like any more white and rich. Just people that can afford the ridiculous rent that these nice apartments require. And she was saying that she's staying somewhere in Chicago, and she had to put mattresses on the floor so that bullets wouldn't go through. This is the person that we're dealing with. And Shane Cashman writes an article about her that doesn't question, not only does it not question the censorship that came up after this, but he didn't talk to Brittany Venti. I don't even know if he talked to the Quartering. These articles, all parts of it, especially part 2, oh my god, I could just do a video alone on part 2. It's so bad. It goes into conspiracy theory territory. It essentially was saying that the person I was talking about before, Manuel DeFango, the guy that sort of unleashed the box of lies that he presented the box of lies to us that Eliza had been collecting throughout the years. And he was kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? He was pinned as like a mob boss almost. Somebody that was possibly responsible for injecting substances into people's necks and all sorts of sketchy things. And that's not the case. Journalists write and report. Live streaming, interview people, keep your fees out. Just the news, right? Isn't there's a news site. I think it's called just the news, right? Just the news. That's all you need to do. Shane Cashman, if you reported the news the way that you were supposed to, then more people would have gotten off your back. They would have been like, "Oh wow, I didn't know this," and you would have your creds and you'd be a journalist. But your Kanye article was good. Your Carrie Lake article was good. You impressed my SO. He was all like, this guy can write. And I had read a little bit of it, and I was like, I don't know. Guy might want to stick to, like, writing the novels that he writes. It's better that way. I wasn't really reporting the news. It was more like this is atmospheric, and this is what's happening, or this is what this person said, and that's great. But then it's like thought, pondering, internal dialogue, all of that stuff. I don't need that in my news. I don't need that in my articles. That can be in my opinion pieces. That's fine. Put it in the opinion piece. My argument was that you if you're looking at somebody like Shane Cashman, or essentially a pioneer like Tim Cast, like Tim Pool, or you're looking at a pioneer like Tim Pool with the live streaming, how is what he does different than what, like, the Umbrella guy does? Remember him? He reported on Johnny Depp. My citizen journalism, whatever. He is a journalist. And I kept getting arguments back and forth. There's no way. He's like a tabloid person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Based on what you're saying with Shane Cashman, unproved Shane Cashman, or Tim Pool, this is really where it was. Tim Pool doesn't write. Does Tim Pool have articles that he writes? He's not really known for that, right? Is the live streaming and then building the companies and going places and all of that. It's not like, oh my God, did you pull up this amazing article by Tim Pool? No. So my argument with him was, if Tim Pool is a journalist, then so is that Umbrella guy. It's funny. Seems like my SO has a problem with Tug, which is weird because he was a really big fan of Tug's work. He loves Johnny Depp. And like I said before, Tug is one of the reasons why Johnny Depp's whole reputation has been rehabilitated. I would have thought that he'd be like, yeah, Tug is a journalist. Citizen journalist, tabloid journalist, a journalist is a journalist, is a journalist. I won that argument. Now I am confused because the definition hasn't changed. Like in the dictionary, it still says that you gotta write. But like I said before, here's your litmus test. It's Tim Pool, and the people that do what he does, why wouldn't they be journalists too? If you disagree with me, I would love to hear your reasoning, because oh my goodness, did we ever, I swear to God, this was like a 2-hour fight about who's a journalist or what a journalist really does. And I appreciate outside views. So if you are on his side, please let me know. If you're in my corner, help me out here with this argument. I'm pretty sure I won, but I think we ended up calling it probably a draw. It was probably a draw. It's just love, right? You fight, you kiss, you make up, you fight, you kiss, you make up. All of that fun stuff that's in between there too. The fight. A debate that we both got very heated on. This is Vermont Red Pill. Sometimes we deal with interpersonal relationships, but I don't want to give you guys too much of my drama. Like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you're interested, subscribe to Vermont Red Pill. I am on YouTube. I am on BitChute. I am on Rumble. And I would love to have you subscribe, comment, like. Don't forget, thumbs up buttons for BitChute and YouTube, whereas you get the Rumble button for Rumble. Please hit that Rumble button. That'll help me out. I'm having a great time on Rumble, and the more people that see Vermont Red Pill, the better things will be here. I hope. I'll have a lot more for you guys later on this week. Like I said, George Kelly, we are going to be touching on that. It's a big deal. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. God bless America. Bye.